Hey Kentucky, this is Deidre Ransdell. Tonight, concerns about the coronavirus could impact the Derby and even the Olympics. Rand Paul visits Louisville to talk about gun violence, and Lynn Bowden will miss out on the NFL Combine. All that and more is next on Hey Kentucky. Welcome to Hey Kentucky. I'm Deidre Ransdell. In tonight for Mary Jo Perino, Josh Corman is my co-host tonight. Hey, Josh.
How's it going?
It's great. It's good to see you. It's been a long time.
It has been a while, but I'm back on TV where everybody can now rest easy. It's fine.
We've been worried. I feel a lot better just knowing you're here. All right, so let's just dive right into everything. Concerns about the spread of the coronavirus around the globe continue to have an impact here in Kentucky as well. Folks at Churchill Downs say that they're preparing to take precautions at this year's Kentucky Derby, should fears about the virus persist and more restrictions are imposed on travelers from Asia. Of course, there's a lot riding on a successful event, as the first leg of horse racing's Triple Crown has an economic impact of about $400 million, and it brings in viewership from around the world. As for an immediate impact, drivers in Kentucky and other states have been feeling the effects of an increase in reported coronavirus cases outside of China. The Bluegrass State was in the top 10 for a jump in gas prices over the past week. Meanwhile, the CDC says the spread of the virus in the U.S. is inevitable. And a veteran member of the International Olympics Committee says the 2020 Tokyo Olympics are more likely to be canceled than moved or rescheduled if by late May the outbreak is deemed too dangerous to go ahead with the original schedule. Josh, what's your reaction to all of these headlines?
You know, it's one of those things where the more we learn about it and as the days go on, it seems to get worse and worse. I don't like hearing the word inevitable associated with an outbreak here. I know that Italians are canceling soccer matches, and when that's happening, things are frightening, and I know that, it's easy to look at the Derby and those impacts and that money and go, I really hope this doesn't happen, but the first priority has to be people's health and safety.
And you've got to think about a massive humanity wherever they're coming together. We've got concerts, we've got sporting events outside of the Derby. There's a lot of implications across the country.
A lot of people, and like you said, a lot of international travel, people coming from all over the place in the Derby. I know it's a big deal, but better to be safe than sorry.
Well, we're going to begin tonight with a talk about gun violence in Kentucky. Senator Rand Paul was on hand in Louisville yesterday for a panel with anti-violence advocates. He heard from them along with law enforcement officials and victims' families. The senator, who is a strong supporter of rights for gun owners, emphasized using prison penalties rather than gun control to address the problem.
I'm of two minds. If it's a nonviolent drug crime, I think we've locked up way too many black people compared to white people, and the incarceration thing's a big problem. However, if it's a violent crime, I think I'd keep people even longer. So I think I would increase the penalties for violent crimes, particularly involving a gun, and I would lessen the penalties for the nonviolent, sort of the user of drugs, that usually they get better as they get older and quit using drugs. So I think there are ways to look at this, and you may be able to prevent some, because once you have a conviction of a single felony, you're not allowed to own a weapon.
Without making any promises, Senator Paul said that he would be in favor of spending money to address the problems in Louisville versus those in foreign countries like Afghanistan. Josh, what do you make of his comments?
Senator Paul has long hung his hat on fiscal responsibility, and gun rights is a big part, protecting the Second Amendment. I hope that this was more than lip service. I think it's great when politicians meet with community leaders. I think that's what you want to see from senators and representatives. But at the same time, we've seen so many of these kinds of meetings take place before. Put your name on a bill. I want to see something done, some action. Senator McConnell has talked about potentially looking at things like red flag laws and some other things. Even if it's just a baby step, I want to see something. The without making any promises line is something we see far too often.
A little bit more actionable movement on this is what you're asking
for. Something. He's in a position at the federal level to make changes that affect a lot of people. Do it instead of just talking about it.
There you go. Well, Nicholasville police say social media, especially Facebook, can be a great tool to get information out quickly. But in a recent case, it created chaos in town after rumors of attempted abductions. 2 weeks ago, the local police department received a call after a teenager was approached by a man driving a white pickup truck. Since officers opened their investigation, rumors of other incidents involving white pickup trucks have taken over social media. The department says another alleged incident with a white pickup truck happened at City County Park. But officers are having to backtrack because it wasn't reported to police initially, only on social media.
Now we're having to go out and try to find witnesses and other people who saw things, maybe canvass the area for video cameras, home security systems. That's kind of hard to do the day after. And I think for the most part, Nicholasville is a safe community, but we're not immune to crime, nor is any other city or location in town. So I say just be aware of your surroundings and pay attention to what's going on.
And we are not immune to crime. No one is immune to crime, Josh. And you live in Nicholasville, so this is hitting close to home for you. What is your take?
It is, and I have 2 young kids. I will say the police are exactly right. One of the people who are good at separating fact from fiction here are going to be the officers who can investigate this and spend the resources. If you're on social media, that is that is a recipe for misinformation, rumor, and then people overreact, and social media is not a place known for its responsibility, right? We're just going to share these things. We're going to say that we saw. I feel bad for anybody in Nicholasville who owns a white pickup truck and is doing nothing wrong, but it can lead to panic, and police don't need to be fighting counter information. They need to be able to deal with it. So if something happens, you see something, call the police.
Report it directly to the police.
Yeah,
Great advice.
Let them do their jobs.
In other news, statistics show a sizable jump in the number of Kentucky preschoolers who do not have health insurance. Researchers found that the number of uninsured kids in the Bluegrass stood at 4% in 2018, up from 2.7% in 2016. Kentucky's increase was the nation's 5th largest. We're one of nearly a dozen states with significant increases, and Kentucky is one of 7 states where the uninsured rate for children under 6 was higher than the rate for those ages 6 to 18. Numbers are alarming to health officials and experts who say children should visit a doctor at least 14 times before they turn 6 years old. Now, Josh, you've talked about having kids of your own. What do you think about this troubling trend?
Well, troubling is exactly the right word because, as it says, those early doctor's appointments and getting that medical care at a young age is foundational. It has such a huge impact on how people develop health-wise for the rest of their lives. And I don't think it's a controversial opinion to say that we shouldn't be having this conversation. Why is any person especially under the age of 6, but really any minor, why do we have to ask questions about whether or not they can be insured and get health care? That just seems like a wild conversation to be having in 2020 in the United States.
We have too much information about the benefits of it, and we're all too educated to not be getting that for our children.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we know what is at stake. Why are there still kids who fall into that category?
Well, hopefully we can turn that all around. Speaking of turning to UK football, some former Cat quarterbacks are back in the news this week. An untimely injury will prevent Lynn Bowden from showing off his skills at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. In his first media opportunity at the pre-draft event, the Kentucky legend revealed that he suffered an injury to his right hamstring in the days leading up to it. So Bowden will wait until UK hosts its Pro Day on March 27th to run the 40-yard dash and perform other combine drills. Meanwhile, he is ready to answer a barrage of questions from NFL scouts, including ones regarding his move from wide receiver to QB.
I think it helped me a lot. They got to see the competitor I am, and then what I could bring to the table, just for a team. I could play receiver, running back, quarterback, play special teams. I play DB if needed. Some of the questions, I get asked often is what do I want to play? My answer pretty simple. I just want to play. I don't care what it is. I want to be out there contributing.
I love that attitude. I just want to play. Don't care where I play, I just want to play. In other quarterback news, after entering the transfer portal in December, Walker Wood has found a new home. He will transfer to McNeese State after finishing up his degree in May. Once there, he will have 2 years of eligibility remaining. Josh?
Good for Walker Wood. Happy to see him land on his feet. As for Lynn Bowden, what you said is exactly right. Sometimes guys come out of college very, very highly touted, and I don't want to play here, or I really need special treatment, or I only want to do it in this way, or play in this kind of system, or for this kind of coach. And I love that Lynn Bowden is, put me a defensive line. I don't care. I'll do whatever you need, wherever. Just put me on the field and let me go.
And isn't that why he had the success he had here when he stepped into the quarterback position? Because he just knew his team needed him, and he was signed up to do whatever they needed.
Absolutely. That kind of dedication and that willingness to put it all out there, an NFL team that takes him is going to be very, very happy, and others that passed on him, not so much.
What a young man to coach. You know our staff loved that.
Absolutely.
Well, up next on Hey Kentucky, a local coffee house serves a special purpose. We'll take you to the Lexington business that's fully staffed by people with special needs. Stay with us.